My girlfriend texted me. My ex is upset. I have to go. Don't wait up. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to Family Tales by Ethan so you never miss out on these fascinating true stories. And let us know in the comments what you're watching today. That was the entirety of the text message I received at 7:58 p.m., just 2 minutes before the woman I loved was supposed to walk through the door and celebrate our 2-year anniversary. No, sorry. No, happy anniversary. No explanation. Just that blunt, careless dismissal. I, the main character in this story, am Ethan. She was Chloe. I stared at the screen. The light from my phone illuminated the dinner I had spent the afternoon preparing. Pasta, her favorite. A decent bottle of Cabernet. Candles flickering, casting a warm, deceptive glow over the dining table. It was nothing extravagant, nothing fancy. But it was my effort, my attempt to salvage what felt like a slowly sinking ship. I had left work early, meticulously cleaned the apartment, and genuinely tried. And in return, I received 4 short, disrespectful sentences. A few seconds passed. Then I typed back a single word. Understood. I didn't call. I didn't beg for an explanation. I didn't argue. I didn't ask a single question. There was no point arguing with someone who clearly didn't care to change. The moment I hit send, a strange, profound sense of clarity washed over me. It wasn't anger or sadness. It was quiet, resolute relief. She had made her choice. I just needed to make it easier for her to live with it. I turned off the stove, killing the flame under the cooling pasta. The aroma of garlic and basil now felt like a taunt. I sat there for a bit, listening to the silence. Then, I looked around. We had been together for 2 years and living together for 1. My once minimalist, organized apartment had slowly been consumed by her belongings. Half of my space had become her personal storage unit. Clothes scattered, makeup and perfume bottles covering the bathroom counter, a constant state of mild, chaotic mess. The more I looked, the less I recognized the place. It didn't feel like my home anymore. It felt like I was living in someone else's mess. That's when the decision crystallized. It was time to clean up properly. I grabbed 3 large suitcases from under the bed and a sturdy box. I didn't act out of rage. In fact, I was eerily calm. I packed everything. Her shoes, her dresses, her scattered things. I didn't throw a single item. I even folded everything neatly, not out of lingering kindness, but pure, cold efficiency. It took me about an hour. 3 full suitcases and 1 heavy box. The apartment, though still sparse, suddenly looked empty. And, miraculously, peaceful. It was mine again. Now, for the context that led to this quiet, radical action. From the start of our relationship, Chloe had been open about her ex, Ryan. She described their relationship as toxic, a past she was completely done with. I didn't press or ask many questions. Everyone has a past. But over time, it became painfully clear that Ryan still had a reserved spot in her life. The calls would come late at night. The texts would appear whenever he was down or going through a hard time. She would go quiet, step out of the room to talk. The first few times, I ignored it, figuring it would fade away. It didn't. It became a routine, a predictable, disrespectful pattern. Every couple of weeks, Ryan would manufacture a crisis that, apparently, only Chloe could solve. The conflict reached a head one night when I finally told her, "You're not his therapist. His problems are not your job anymore." She nodded, gave a perfunctory, "I know," and immediately went back to scrolling on her phone. The very next week, the pattern repeated. That was the moment I checked out of the argument. The pointlessness of arguing with someone who had zero intention of changing was exhausting. Life together became a series of weird, half-hearted interactions. She remained affectionate, but it felt thin, a superficial performance. We'd be on the couch, and she'd be laughing at messages I couldn't see. I'd catch the name, Ryan, pop up in her notifications. When I'd ask, "You still talking to him?" she'd dismiss it with a quick, "It's nothing," and swiftly change the topic. I tried to convince myself I was overthinking it. But deep down, I knew the truth. Chloe was an attention seeker. It didn't matter where the validation came from. She'd praise my calm nature, how I never yelled. Yet, she quickly started treating that emotional stability as indifference. I worked long hours, came home tired, but I always made time for her. Still, she'd accuse me of not caring enough. All while she was still glued to her phone, messaging her ex about his feelings. The hypocrisy was deafening. So, on our second anniversary, When I saw that text message, it was simply the final, irrefutable proof I needed. As soon as the packing was complete, I pulled up her car's GPS on my tablet. Ryan's address was still saved from previous emergency help sessions. I copied the address. Then, I called a 24-hour courier service. When they arrived, I handed over the 3 suitcases and the box. Handle with care, I instructed. Before they left, I taped a concise, brutal note to the largest suitcase. It was my quiet twist, my final, definitive statement. The note read, "Housewarming gift. Comes with the owner." They picked up everything and left. I poured myself a much-needed drink and watched the TV. The silence was beautiful, a physical relief. I was not angry. I was not sad. I was free. About 3 hours later, the drama started. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. It was Ryan. "What the hell is wrong with you, man?" He sounded furious. "She's outside my place crying with all her stuff. I didn't tell her to come here." My voice was calm, steady. "She said she had to go to you." I replied. "I just made sure her belongings arrived, too." The line went silent. I heard a frustrated mutter on his end. Then he hung up. His problem now. I went back to my drink. But the drama wasn't over. An hour later, there was a knock on the door. Loud, constant, and official. It was the police. When I opened the door, it wasn't Chloe. It was 2 police officers, one holding a small notebook. "Are you Ethan?" the officer with the notebook asked. "Yes," I replied calmly. "We received a call from a woman named Chloe. She claims you illegally evicted her and kept her personal belongings," he stated, his voice flat and professional. I didn't panic or raise my voice. I simply stepped aside, pointing toward the kitchen counter where the apartment lease papers lay clearly visible. "Officers, the apartment is legally under my name only," I explained. "She does not legally reside here. And regarding her belongings, I didn't keep them. I packed every item she owned, 3 suitcases and a box, and shipped them to the address where she chose to be tonight." I walked over, picked up the courier receipt, and handed it to them. The receipt was proof. It had the delivery address, Ryan's, and the confirmation of receipt with a signature. One officer examined the receipt, looking from the signature back to me. "So, she voluntarily left to go to this address. And you, in turn, sent her property to the same location?" he clarified. "Exactly," I confirmed. He closed his notebook. "Okay, then this isn't a police matter." They both nodded, offered a generic, "Have a good night," and left. When the door closed, I let out a short, hollow laugh. It wasn't truly funny, but the ridiculousness of the situation made it so. The whole exchange, the sheer audacity of her call, the simple, clean rebuttal, it was all so theatrical. I knew this wasn't the end. The call to the police was Chloe's first desperate attempt to guilt-trip me into taking her back or, failing that, to create public drama. She had chosen her path, expecting me to fight for her. Instead, I gave her the freedom she asked for and the immediate consequence of her choice. Minutes later, my phone lit up again. "Chloe." This time, I let it ring. 10 times, maybe more. Then came the barrage of text messages, a chaotic mix of fury and plea. "You're insane. You embarrassed me. You had no right. Please, can we talk?" I didn't reply to a single one. Turns out, my prediction had been correct. After Ryan hung up on me, he didn't open his door for her. Chloe had arrived at his building, expecting a comforting welcome, only to find herself stuck outside, literally carrying all her baggage. He wanted no part of the drama. He'd apparently already moved on and had someone new. He told her to leave and shut the door. She had nowhere to go. She had burned the bridge to my place by leaving and then found the bridge to his place was already closed. The next morning, the social fallout began. Mutual friends started texting me. "Hey man, what happened between you and Chloe? She's saying you kicked her out for no reason." I ignored them all. There was no point in explaining myself when the truth had a way of surfacing on its own. Later that day, she left a long voicemail, crying, apologizing, claiming Ryan had somehow tricked her, and that she had nowhere else to turn. I listened for about 10 seconds, just long enough to confirm the script, and deleted it. I had no interest in playing her emotional games anymore. 2 days after the incident, my landlord called. Apparently, Chloe had contacted him, trying to allege that I was illegally evicting her. The landlord, an old-school guy who knew me well, just laughed when he told me. I quickly explained the situation and sent him a copy of the lease. He advised me, "Don't worry about it. She's just being dramatic." But Chloe was relentless. When direct manipulation fails, people like her pivot to damage control and pity stories. She started posting vague, dramatic statements online. "Never thought I'd be thrown away like trash." Some people have no heart. She started fabricating a narrative where I was the villain, the cruel boyfriend who threw her out, and she was the poor victim just trying to help a friend. It was pathetic to watch from a distance. Ryan even texted me again. "She's been outside my building again. Handle your mess." I replied with the cold, hard truth. "She's not my mess. She left. Maybe lock your door tighter." He didn't respond. She had run out of options. Ryan didn't want her. I didn't care. And she couldn't admit to anyone that she left her 2-year relationship for her ex, only to be rejected by him, too. So, she stuck to her victim story. But I didn't engage. Every call went unanswered. Every message was left unread. The silence I gave her was the most potent weapon. She craved chaos, attention, and drama. I gave her none of it, and that was her worst punishment. A week later, just when I thought the dust had settled, she escalated the campaign. People like Chloe never stop until they run out of an audience. She posted pictures online, sitting on the floor, the infamous suitcase behind her, with captions like, "Starting over is hard." Then, she created a GoFundMe page titled, "Fresh Start After Heartbreak." The description was a complete fabrication. My boyfriend kicked me out, kept my things, and left me with nothing. Goal, $5,000. Mutual friends immediately sent me screenshots asking for confirmation. My response was a single image, the shipping receipt with Ryan's signature. They stopped asking. 2 days later, the absurdity reached a new level when Chloe's mom called me. I hadn't spoken to her since the early days of our relationship. She didn't even bother with a greeting. "Ethan, I can't believe you'd steal from my daughter," she immediately launched. "She says you kept her jewelry and her Chanel bag." I remained calm, keeping my tone perfectly level. "Ma'am, I didn't keep anything. I packed every single item she owned and shipped it to Ryan's address. You are free to call the courier company if you wish. There's a signature from the receiver." There was a moment of silence on her end. Then she said, "She says her Chanel bag isn't there. Maybe she should check again," I replied. "Or perhaps Ryan has it. Either way, it is not my problem." She hung up. That was the last I heard from her family. A few days later, Ryan texted me one last time. "She's back at my place screaming at the gate." I told her to leave. "She says she has nowhere to go." My reply was definitive. "Not my issue, man." She made her choice. That night, I blocked both of them. By the end of the week, her pathetic GoFundMe had raised a meager $200. But the internet is cruel and effective. Someone in the comments mentioned her recent designer shopping haul visible on her Instagram stories. The campaign quietly disappeared the next morning. The next phase was inevitable, reputation damage. She started direct messaging people we both knew, claiming I was controlling, emotionally abusive, and wouldn't let her see friends. It was the classic script of a rejected partner. A few acquaintances bought it, but the ones who truly knew me just rolled their eyes. 2 weeks after the breakup, I was out having dinner with a coworker. Just food, nothing romantic. Halfway through the meal, guess who marched in? Chloe. She saw me immediately, froze, and then made a beeline for my table. "Wow," she said, loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "Didn't take you long to replace me, huh?" I sighed. "Chloe, not now." She ignored me. "You throw me out, humiliate me, and now you're out on a date? You're unbelievable." The restaurant went quiet. My coworker looked deeply uncomfortable. I looked her directly in the eye, my voice calm and flat. "You left me on our anniversary to go see your ex. I simply sent your belongings to the same place you went. That's all." Her face instantly changed. She didn't expect me to say the simple, direct truth in a public space. People were watching. She stammered out. "I was trying to help a friend. Your ex-boyfriend. On our anniversary. At night." With no explanation, I countered. "You really want to do this here?" She couldn't answer. Her face went red, and she stormed out, muttering something about me being a jerk. After that public confrontation, word spread quickly. People finally understood what had actually happened. Her victim narrative stopped working. Ryan's new girlfriend reportedly banned Chloe from ever contacting him again, and Ryan himself told someone he was done with the drama. Chloe had lost the support of her family, her friends, and her followers. I heard she moved into a small room somewhere and was seeing some older guy who had money, a typical move. At that point, I stopped paying attention entirely. The chaos had finally burned itself out. I didn't need to explain or prove anything. I had done my part, quietly, cleanly. I let people talk. I let her spin whatever story helped her sleep. I knew the truth, and that was enough. The best part of all this? The apartment finally stayed silent. No yelling, no late-night phone calls, no crying over someone else's problems. Just quiet. My life was calm again. I went to work, came home, cooked simple meals, and watched movies without having to lower the volume because someone was on the phone, crying about an ex. The apartment finally felt like mine again. 6 months later, I met someone new. Her name is Emma. She's different. No drama, no games. If she's upset, she says it. If she's busy, she tells me. It's simple. It's refreshing, actually. I told her the short version of what happened. She laughed and said, "Sounds like you dodged a storm." She's not wrong. Sometimes, when I get home and see my place, clean, quiet, and mine, I remember the constant noise, the tension, the feeling of walking on eggshells. I don't miss it. Not a bit. People always say revenge is sweet, but honestly, this wasn't revenge. I didn't hurt her, expose her, or try to get even. I just stopped playing her game. That was enough. Letting someone deal with the natural consequences of their own choices is the best payback you can give. She wanted attention. She wanted chaos. I gave her none. And that's what broke her. Life feels simple again. It's quiet, stable, maybe even boring, but it is real. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. When someone shows you they don't respect you, don't argue. Don't beg. Don't prove your worth. Just pack their things and send them where they already want to be. Let them live with the freedom they asked for. Most of the time, that freedom is the last thing they actually want. 6 months ago, I had a girlfriend who kept one foot in the past. Now I have a life that finally moves forward. And I'm not looking back.